property and make it legal. Or the military, Laurie Chavez.
Go through the process yet.
But
He's only gonna look at it, but
won't comfort. I mean, they're not the only ones, but still.
Ready? You guys ready?
Let's call this meeting to order. Could we please stand? Before we do the pledge of allegiance, I'd like to do a prayer for all the people in Ruidoso and all the victims of the fire and all our donations. Muscalero, all of the people that donated our stuff. So let's do a prayer. Dear Lord, please bless, first of all, our victims of the fire and the families of the victims that lost their lives in the fire. All our first responders, Ruidoso, all of Muscalero. Let's bless our people that worked in our donation centers and especially the people that have donated. We are just so blessed. It's in your name we pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico, see a symbol of perfect friendship among the united cultures. Consideration of the agenda.
Mayor, I'd like to make a couple of changes, please.
Okay.
Move to item number 3 to number 18.
Number what?
Number 3 to number 18.
Okay.
Item number 3. Also, let's move number 4 to number 15 to number 4. 14 to number 3, please. And 15 to number 4. That's it.
Anybody else?
Okay, what's gonna be,
Okay.
where did number 4 get moved to?
Number
3
15,
to
15
18.
becomes number 4.
14 is number 3, 15 is number 4.
Where did 4 go to?
It'll just be right after they
It'll
do
just
that
be
one.
down.
Okay. No more questions, so pass, or make a motion, please.
I'll second.
Unscheduled correspondence and public comment, 3 minutes?
None.
None? All right. So number 4, Rebecca Bryant, Village Clerk, is asking for the closure of all village offices on July 5th, 2024 for personnel time to be taken for this day off.
So we usually do this after, the holiday falls on a Thursday, and usually like for Christmas and Thanksgiving, the employees want to take that second day off. So we were asking if we can close village offices and they can take their personal time off for that Friday, the day after 4th of July.
Would this be with their time off with on their own?
Yes, sir.
Well, was there no questions? I so move.
I'll second it.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay. Number 5, or number 4, actually.
Yeah, you need to do number.
Rebecca Bryant, Village Clerk, is asking to approve the award. Oh, no, we're moving, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, forgive me.
Okay.
So number 3, number 4, number 3.
You need number 14 right now.
Yeah, 14. Number 3 is gonna be Rusty. It's Rusty Hilton. Planning and Zoning is asking to approve a permit request for Isaac Wall at 47 St. Francis Drive.
Good evening, I'm Rusty. For a little bit. Go ahead.
Move it up.
You can move it up.
We're asking to, the planning and zoning group has looked at the permit request from Isaac Wall and found everything to be in order, and we don't see a problem with it. We're asking that the village council approve it.
Is this the,
If I may add real quick, we've met several times with Mr. Wall out there at the location. For those that are not familiar with 47 St. Francis, it's going to be just south of the sawmill where the old vineyard used to be out there. He's going to be putting in a business that's going to be selling trailers such as fifth wheels and stuff like that, not camping RVs or anything, but trailers. His plans is he's going to be building a barn-style building out there. It's going to be steel building, concrete foundation, the whole works. He has multiple locations already. He currently couldn't be here tonight because of the construction at his new one that he's doing up in Las Vegas. We did go out there and meet with him, reference the plot and the city right-of-ways. There was some confusion about where the city water was and the plumbing was and roads and no roads. During his initial application, it did have for the 20-foot easement for the right-of-way that was in there, which was standard. After speaking to him for a while, we got him to give us 25 feet on that because of the new truck that the city has had. And so just to make it easier for Public Works, he was very kind, very willing to work with us. He was looking forward to coming to our community and being a part of it. He did agree once he got his permit here and he got his permit from the state to come back and provide us with the SID number. And again, it's going to be a professional contracting company that comes down and does the building for him.
Go over that address one more time, 47?
47, yes, sir.
And that's out of town?
Just right, yeah, right over here by the old sawmill,
The old
at the new sawmill.
Okay.
right on the other side of the Casa de Sueños?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 So number 15 is going to be the number 4.
That's a carport, right?
Rusty Hilton, Planning and Zoning is asking to approve a permit request for Enrique Ortiz at 1508 West 4th.
Hey, Mr. Ortiz is going to build basically a carport in front of his trailer. It's not going to be attached to the trailer. It's not going to interfere with the right-of-way on either side or in the front of the lot. There's going to be plenty of space. And so we're asking that the village approve it.
And if I may ask, we did go out there on site and we did check it. He has clearly enough setback from his property line to go and be in compliance with it. Again, it's going to be just a simple carport. It's not attached to his camper that he has there, his trailer, I should say. He does have the footers already put down in for it. There's going to be a pole structure. He's going to be all wood. So he does have the rebar and the concrete already and everything like that. So that is something we did check into before reviewing everything. So upon review of that and taking it to the board, we recommend that we approve his permit.
You recommend approval?
We recommend it, yes.
Make a motion to approve?
I'll motion to approve.
I'll second
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
it. Aye.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, thank you.
Kind of jumping around here,
Number
trying
5.
to,
Number 5.
number 5. Now we're at number
Yeah,
five.
now back on track.
Yeah, we're back on track for a little bit. Rebecca Bryant, Village Clerk, is asking to approve the award to Site Southwest LLC in association with Bohemian Houston for the Village of Tularosa's Comprehensive Development Plan.
So we put out bids for some people to do our comprehensive plan, which we haven't had done in a long time. So we only had one person, which was the Site Southwest. They're in association with Bohannon Houston. So we're the only ones that bid. So we did the scoring sheets on them and everything like that. So now we just need a approval from the board for them to go through with the comprehensive plan.
Did you speak with David Shields on this?
Yes, yes.
If there are no questions, so move.
They bonded and approved?
Huh.
They bonded and approved?
Yeah, they turned in their, everything they need.
I make a motion to approve.
We need a second.
I'll second it.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Number 6, Warren Candelaria, Chief of Police, is asking to approve the appointment of William Kimmons to lieutenant at a pay rate of $27 an hour.
Afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
I'm here with Lieutenant William Kimmons, AKA Bo. I'm requesting, asking for the board, for the trustees to approve Mr. Kimmons as lieutenant for Tularosa PD at a pay rate of $27 an hour. Mr. Kimmons has come into the town and to the department, has experience with the 30 years of law enforcement experience, plus also a trainer instructor. So with his knowledge and his training, he'll be submitted to the state academy for approval for him to be a certified New Mexico State instructor and also a police officer, which he'll be, we're trying to get him into the next lateral academy, which is going to be in September. So with that, I request that Mr. Officer Kimmons, Lieutenant Kimmons, will be approved by the board.
Do you guys have any questions for?
I do.
Okay,
I can't remember what the heck it was now. Okay,
you have questions?
I do. License? That's going to be a big question. Does he have a license?
I have my Texas Peace Officer license, which I'm in the current process of getting all my packet together. I'll submit it to the state of New Mexico for the waiver.
Fantastic. That'll take place rather quickly, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool.
And that's a 2-week course?
2-week course,
The 2-week course? Okay, cool.
And when is it?
September, it's the second week in September.
Okay.
So you have a license coming up pretty quick then. Great.
Working on it.
Okay, AKA, also known as Texas Bo?
Y'all tell me whatever.
Okay, all right. All right, great. Yeah,
Does
make a
anybody
motion.
else have any questions?
Make a motion.
I do, only because I would like for you to tell them, what kind of towns did you work in?
I've been in, like I said, for 32 years. I prefer small towns. My first town was Post, Texas, population 3,500. From there, I went to the constable's office for Garza County. We covered Lake Allen Henry for the city of Lubbock when they built that big lake. Did that up until 2003. From there, I went to Lubbock International Airport for 2 years. And from there, I went out to the city of Idalou. Me and the chief went to college together. Idalou is approximately, population-wise, the same size, about 2,700 to 3,000. We went into that department, me and the chief, kind of a similar situation that's here. They needed a department that needed to be rebuilt. So, one day at a time, one community member at a time, one business at a time, one agency at a time. To where when we left, through the Texas Police Chief Association, they have a program, it's called the Recognition Program. To where you go in, you revamp your city, your police department. I wrote personally 164 policies for that department.
And before we could get our recognition, it was approved by Texas police chiefs from all across the state of Texas. We were the smallest agency in the state of Texas to get that recognition, and we were the 99th agency. So after that, I left. We moved to Ruidoso for a couple of years. I was the overnight sergeant at the End of the Mountain Gods. Only reason we moved back to Texas was my parents kind of got up in age and their health was starting to decline. So moved back to Texas. I went to work for the Texas Department of Criminal Justice, which is the Texas prison system. Well, I started off as an officer, made my way up to, when I left there, I was lieutenant covering a shift. The last prison I worked at was the Smith Unit in La Mesa, Texas, and we could hold up to 2,000 inmates. I was responsible on the ECB side, which is high security, where everybody stays locked down 23 hours a day. I had 885 inmates under my care, but I only had 8 officers to do it. And my goal is we go home at night, or we go home in the morning. We will be safe. I know some of y'all I've got to talk to the last couple of days under the circumstances, working at the relief center. Some of y'all know, some of y'all don't know. I lost my wife this past November due to end-stage liver disease. I got up one day, thought, I'm gonna go to Ruidoso, visit some friends, because I still have friends over here. I'm good friends with, Chief and his wife. She texted, said, hey, let's go to breakfast. So we went to breakfast, we sat down. He looked at me and said, you want a job? I was like, what you got in mind? So we started talking, I wasn't disgruntled at the job I had. I was happy, I was good, After we talked, I kind of thought about it, but, as soon as I left there, the first people I called is my 2 daughters. My youngest is 25, my oldest is 27, my grandson's a year and a half. I called them, told them what was going on. They're like, Dad, this is your time to be happy. This is your time to enjoy life. If that's what you want to do, then do it. So I thought probably a couple weeks longer, and then finally I thought, you know what? I called Chief Candelaria up. I said, man, let's do it. Here I am. I ain't looking back. I'm not going nowhere. And I felt so far, like I said, meet some of y'all at the relief, and then the community that's been coming in, man, I have felt very welcome here. I just love small towns. For one, we take the call, we investigate the call, we report the call, we take it to the DA, we make the arrest, we testify in court. Where you're in a big city, you pass it off, you'll never see that call again. But I like being able to walk up to people and say, well, I'll treat you as Mr. Garcia because you're my trustee. But calling people by their first name. Hey, Patrick, how's it going? Manuel, how's it going? I like that. Y'all want to call me? You ain't got to call me Lieutenant. Call me Bo. The community's the same way. Call me by my name. That's how you get to know your people. And like I told Chief, on Friday nights, you know where I'm going to be at on Friday nights? I'm going to be at the football field. It's football time. During baseball season, you'll see me at the baseball games. Because, things happen out there too. Mm-hmm. Especially with fans. I've thrown a lot of fans out of some games. So I just prefer the small towns, and I'm looking forward to this next chapter in my career. Now, if y'all want some training background, I got probably close to 4,000 training hours in the state of Texas. I'm SWAT certified, I'm a sniper certified, scuba diving certified, marine safety officer certified, firearms instructor. Got my jail license. So I just I'm the type that never stop learning, never. Right. Doing this 34 years, 32 years. Do I know it all? Absolutely not. And I'm still willing to learn. 2 of my biggest accomplishments was the recognition program in the city of Idalou, and I got to work the 2002 Winter Games in Salt Lake City, Utah, for the month of February. That's the 2 biggest things I'm proud of.
Wow. Good things to be proud of.
And if I can pass my knowledge on to the officers coming up, like Officer Williams back there, I'm more than happy to do that. Because we need more officers like this young man too.
Hey, guys.
Are you able to say yes? Let's hurry up and say yes before he leaves.
Go ahead.
Listen, Bo, we did meet at the Fire Relief Diligence Center, and I was really impressed with your attitude and the fact that you're really sold on small communities and you're here to stay. That's what we're looking for. And I think you'll be a good mix with this village of Tularosa. So welcome aboard, I want to say. So I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second that motion.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion approved. Thank you. Welcome to our village. Number 7, Patrick Gonzalez, Pecos Valley Productions is asking to approval for a consumption lounge at their establishment at 308 Granada Street.
Hi
Oh,
there.
Patricia, I'm sorry. It's been a long day, girl.
It's all right. I'm right there with you. I have a million
Patrick,
names.
you have changed, but then I looked down Patricia, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
I apologize.
Thank you for having us today. Just wanted to look at our proposal. I know I submitted it to the mayor's office for consumption lounge here in Tularosa. So I'm the senior manager with Pecos Valley Productions, so I oversee 22 retail dispensaries in New Mexico. Pecos Valley Production is the largest dispensary in New Mexico. We actually have a grow in Roswell. That's where they were based out of. It was primarily agriculture-based with the family of, over 30 years of dairy farming and moving into the cannabis industry several years ago. So Pecos began as a medical dispensary primarily until it became recreational. And what we'd like to do is propose a consumption lounge for the store to be able to have a different type of event activity within the community. In the packet, I did give a little bit of statistics of how Pecos has contributed to Tularosa's community. It's been extremely welcoming. We have 11% of the community are consumers, whether it be recreational or medical. A lot of the staff, all the staff that work there are local, so they are local to the village and the Alamogordo area as well. Consumption, we would like to look at having consumption. We would not be selling any cannabis during consumption hours. So it would just be an event where you would be able to purchase your own prior to coming into the event at the store, bring it with you, and we would do items such as, events such as karaoke. We could do, we were looking at similar to Sip and Paint, but a smoke and paint with having local artists lead that and help have, a safe activity for adults in the community. And looking at some of the statistics, I thought it was pretty interesting because we do have a database where we can pull data from demographic, because we take, we're one of the only dispensaries that actually has to require patrons to buzz in. So we have to validate information, validate that they're legal to come in, because we have a very strict compliance regimen within the organization. So with that being said, I think that Pecos is the ideal place to have a consumption lounge in the village of Tularosa. The staff is already ready they have so many great ideas. I think they were even saying like a video game challenge, we could have different events. And we're looking at maybe doing them once a month. So nothing every single week unless it becomes a really fun activity to do. But we would be open, we're looking at Friday, Saturday evenings, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. And on Sundays, 12 to 5, we could host events. But we would look at about once a month. And then depending on what the community likes or asks for, we would look to increase engagement.
I think we have talked, when you came and talked to us before, the consumption lounge itself would be inside.
Correct.
Not the outside.
Correct. It
Okay,
would be
so
indoors
everything
only.
would be kept inside. Is there one in Alamogordo, or is there any?
There's not one to my knowledge in Alamogordo at this
So-
time.
So this would be something that could attract people from
Absolutely.
Alamogordo?
Yes, it would be attracting in a lot of different people from the proposal we have. I want to say, if you can give me just a moment, I can give you the number. We pulled some data, so we have 28% of the people, so we've had 2,500 people come into our doors since we opened in this Tularosa location. We've had over 1,200 new patients since April of 2022. 28% are Tularosa, 28% are unknown, meaning we don't have the origination of where they came from or where their address was in our designated system. 11% are Mescalero, 8% El Paso, 3% Las Cruces, and 10% were actually from over 500 cities across America, just coming into our little store in Tularosa. So that was really neat information, and I'm kind of a data geek, so it's really interesting to see where we have that data at our disposal to be able to look at demographics and where we can help the village continue to grow.
you explain a little bit more on the consumption aspect of it? You mentioned karaoke. You also mentioned maybe a
So it would be
DJ,
like,
something like that?
so it would be like we would like to have either local artists come and either show art pieces. We could do like a silent auction. You could do, it would be like sip and paint where you know, those like wine events where you have wine and you paint, you know, you have a painting instructor and everybody paints the same thing, but rather than consuming wine or liquor, they would be consuming their cannabis. So it would be essentially smoking and painting. So lots of different events for adults to have, to be able to unwind, you know, enjoy each other's company and just have a place to talk and congregate.
So you have your edibles and your whatever, medical and so on and so forth?
Yes.
An adults-only type environment?
I'm sorry?
Adults-only type environment?
Adults only.
Adults
Oh,
only?
yes, oh, yeah. We're required by law, we can only have those that are 21 over, or they can be 18 and over if they have a medical card. So we have to, you know, we have to always adhere to the state statute and CCD regulation.
Where else do you have this? I know Pickles Valley is out of Roswell, right?
Yes, it's based out of Roswell, yes, sir. So
Do you have one in Roswell?
we have 2 in Roswell, 2 in Carlsbad, 2 in Hobbs, 2 in Las Cruces, Sunland Park, Portales, 2 in Clovis, it's like a math test, 5 in Albuquerque, Espanola, and Edgewood. And we have 4 more that we're looking at opening within the state in the next 6 to 8 months.
How many consumption lounges do you have out of those?
This would be our first. And what was interesting for us, we really wanted to do it right, you know, in talking with the mayor. I've been in healthcare for 25 years, so I oversaw mental health services. I've worked in the community health centers as an administrator. And so I'm used to following regulation wholeheartedly. That's you know, where I stem from. So I'm kind of a different path, and Pecos was really a great organization to come up and be a part of. So now that I'm spearheading all of the retail operations, I'm using a lot of the medical knowledge, regulation and structure, and Pecos is just, it's amazing. It really is. I would also invite the village council if they would ever like to tour. We do tours on Wednesday at the farm in Roswell. And it's a whole morning experience where you can actually see it from seedling all the way to being packaged. So it's a pretty neat experience.
You know, to calm everybody's nerves down
Yes.
about this, would you mind if I ask our chief a question?
Absolutely, absolutely.
You know, I know this sounds silly, but you know, we're an older community. Sometimes people get excited about things like this, you know, and I want to ask the chief. So Chief, if you're dealing with somebody that is drinking versus somebody that somebody that is drunk versus somebody that is high, what is the difference here?
There'll be no difference, because under the state statute of New Mexico, you are still considered under the influence of alcohol or drugs.
But how is their behavior?
Their behavior is,
Hold on, Chief. Just speaking to the mic so everybody in the back can hear you too, please. Thank you.
right, their behavior is slow reaction, and they're like real calm, like they're almost like zoning out. But their reflexes are a little slower.
I really wasn't talking about the
Alcohol.
driving part. I'm talking about how people look at, how people react, how marijuana affects you. Does it make you combative like alcohol can?
It has a different effects on the different people. Some will have real calm, they'll have their munchies. And some will have be combative, but it depends on how their body is working with the cannabis there. So people, it's like you have some calm, some nervousness or some aggressiveness, but it's just depending on that person's body and how long have they been using it. So then that's the other thing too, there's factors with that. But as for being caught for being under the influence in a motor vehicle or even on a bicycle ATV, anything, that still falls under the being under the influence statute. So the consequences are
Yeah,
still the same.
the consequences are the same. I agree. I think personally, what I was asking is the difference between how they act and versus how they act with alcohol. Because, we all know alcohol has been legal for so long, and we all kind of have gotten accepted the bars, the packages, all of that stuff. And this is a new concept for people.
Yes.
It's a very new concept. And, a lot of people think that marijuana is kind of like the same as alcohol. Your behavior's the same, you act the same, you do the same.
Well, if a person has PTSD, a lot of PTSD individuals uses the cannabis to control their nerves down. But again, it's just the mind behavior. It depends on the mind itself. So with that, that's where our training in CIT training, critical incident training that is here in Otero that the officers are going to, so we can be trained up on that, on their different behaviors, how to recognize. Some can be emotional, be physical, some could just be, it's just talking with them. And it's just like, again, but it depends on the individual themselves. So, but there is training that we have to go to identify the issues.
Okay. Do you guys have any questions for the chief?
With that being said, is there a plan that you have in place to ensure that they have a designated driver?
Yes, what we're looking at, that's an excellent question. So, even in the store, we can't sell to patients that appear to be under the influence. So if they are appearing to be under the influence where their motor skills are, lessened, if they look impaired, we will not sell. So it would be the same structure that in the event that somebody is, they're either going too far or they've gone too far, we would make sure that we would have that information of where we could call for a safe ride for them. So that is part of what we're looking at. I think and I absolutely agree with, what the officer's saying. I've worked with the CIT officers in mental health services, concurrently to learn at different warning signs, signals. So we do have a robust training that each employee goes through. So they go through lots of hours of certification, understanding the effects of the cannabis, how it works, how it metabolizes. And so this is why we want to only have it for a very short amount of time. We don't want to do an all-day event or, just for a very brief, few hours, just to be able to allow you to come back and relax and, depending on if we end up selling, nachos or sodas like we were thinking about, just to have refreshments, while they're there consuming. But safety is really the priority. We want to make sure we're doing this safely, correctly. And we really thought that the village of Tularosa is the right place to start with consumption because it is a smaller community. We can work with local law enforcement, work with the mayor's office to make sure this is working well, or is it not working well? Where can we adjust, just as anything that you would start brand new? I have full confidence in the abilities of the staff. We have compliance officers, and we regularly meet. I probably meet with our compliance officer every other day to make sure that we're in alignment with those core values, the safety to the community and safety to patients, for sure.
What are the hours one more time?
We were thinking
Days and
either
hours?
Friday or Saturdays from 6 to 9. And then if we did do a Sunday event from 12 to 5, or we could adjust those hours based on whatever the village is willing to work with us on.
Can you verify the fact, did you state that this is the first consumption lounge for your organization?
Yes. This is the first one.
My question would be, why hasn't a place like Albuquerque or Clovis, they're big size places, why haven't they produced or tried the consumption lounge?
I think with consumption lounge, it's been challenging. We were going to look at doing a consumption lounge in the Sunland Park area because it's just, gigantic at this point with cannabis on Appaloosa and Sunland Park. But I think being able to regulate that and monitor that correctly, we really want to make sure that we don't put the cart before the horse and have this great big plan and not be able to really monitor it correctly. So we really wanted to focus on a smaller community, a smaller store, where we know the community pretty well, the staff knows the community very well, so that way we could make sure that it's more of an intimate pilot, if you will, to be able to set up success and do your checks and balances to make sure, is this working? Is this where we want to go? Because it, again, opens up to more liability for us as well. So we want to make sure we do this correctly, because it would be a first for us. So we really wanted to do it in an area we felt we could keep a good eye on it. I'm from Las Cruces, so it's just, it's a short drive for me. Monitoring it from Albuquerque, for example, or Española, that is much harder to manage from afar. Whereas I'm local, and I do have a director of a district manager. She's local to Alamogordo, and so we really have, and our VP is also based out of Alamogordo. So we really figured Tularosa would be the best way to start.
And I'm assuming you have a board that oversees all this as well?
Yes.
And are they in agreement? What was their,
Oh, they're excited about it. I think that they had similar questions as to, why not start with the big store? And I've been doing this kind of stuff with opening different companies, agencies, or doing acquisitions. I've learned very quickly that you can be ambitious and then it can end up biting you. So we don't want to take that route. But the board is very excited to start with Tularosa and see how this grows. Because we can also look at if we can increase, Tularosa's visibility, that gives us another tool to say like, hey, like this is a really good test pilot project, and then we can learn, and we may just do smaller communities versus really large ones. Because you have a different population and demographic as well, and that's something you have to be mindful of.
Just to make sure that you know, Robert, there are different companies that already have consumption lounges in other places within the state.
So one last question for you, Tricia. So were these, I guess what I'm getting at is the music and so on and so forth is going to be totally indoors, right? Not
It'll be
outdoors?
completely indoors.
Because karaoke and stuff like that, we in that neighborhood, in the past, we had complaints about neighbors. Some people think that they're Whitney Houston or, somebody else, and they really sound terrible, but outdoors, at night.
No, there won't be any outdoor consumption. It'll be
we won't
indoor
turn into a roadhouse
consumption.
like Patrick Swayze and stuff like that, right? So we're good.
Yes. So it'll most definitely be indoors. We will make sure, if passed here, we'll end up submitting the request to the state because we have to have the local community approval first before we submit to the state for approval. And then we'll make sure we're within regulation as far as air quality and filtration and things like that to make sure that it's not impacting. And we are going to we have to maintain regulation and stay within fire code, so we won't have more people there. I'm very, very meticulous about making sure we're in compliance. So I'm
The
absolutely.
reason I approach that subject because in the past we had a place here in the corner had outdoor music, and people would call in saying, hey, it's too loud, and so on. You only hear Mustang Sally, so many times a night, and then it's like, okay, it gets too old. So once again, if that's the case, then I'm going to give this place a chance.
Do you guys?
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second the motion.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Thank you so very much. We look forward to
Tricia.
working more closely. Thank you.
Number 8 is Eric Luna, individual is asking to approve a permit to place his mobile home at 1702 West 2nd Street. Hi, how are you?
My name is Eric. First of all, I would like to apologize. I didn't know how that process worked. I live in Alamogordo, so I didn't really have any idea.
Yeah.
And I moved a mobile home on my own, thinking that by owning the land, I can do such place, but. So I have this project that I would like to continue to work on it. I provided pictures and also where the lines, electrical lines and water lines and gas lines apparently will be there. I also have already a contract with one of the Otero plumbing companies that that we're waiting on this permit for them to start working on it.
The Planning and zoning hasn't had a chance to look at it, but we can do an approval pending the, we can do a approval pending the approval of the zoning, planning and zoning.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Looks good. I mean,
So what we're gonna do is, because the planning and zoning people, which were the guys up here, they haven't had a chance to look at it, so we're gonna approve it as long as they approve it. You know, they're gonna bring it back and show us, because they have not had a chance.
Thank
You have
you.
a second?
Thank you so much.
Yeah, he seconded it.
Garcia?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Number 9, David Fuentes, individuals asking for help about the trees in the village.
Hello, how you guys doing?
Good, how are you, David?
I've been
I know-
here enough times, you guys know what's going on.
We do, and I have an answer for you, okay? So right now, the individual that used to work and do our trees, it no longer lives here, okay? So we're looking for somebody else. They have to be bonded. We can't just hire Joe Blow off of there. And also, we're at our end of our fiscal year, but come August, when we get our new money in, we will be able to help somewhat. We can't do every tree in the village. We don't have that kind of money. I mean, you start trying to do all those trees, we wouldn't have enough money.
All I was asking was like some of the
Around
most
your area,
dangerous
I-
ones.
Around your area, I see that. And that's our problem. When Becca went to go find our tree trimmer, he was gone. He left. Now we have to find a bonded one. And we have to, or the same guy, the guy was bonded last time, but we have to find one. We have to put a bid out and we have to find one. So, and that will take about the month of July. Then come 1st of August, we will have our money released and we will be able to do
Yes.
that.
Nice,
We're just getting a few quotes and see who can give us the best deal.
cool.
And then,
It's good to know you guys are working on it and stuff.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
David, how many trees are there? I passed by there several times. It looked like 2 big trees.
There's like, yeah, 2 big ones. There's one directly in front of the house, pretty much. But there's a couple more. There's one that fell that almost took out the neighbor's house that missed it by inches.
It hit it.
You know, it did hit it.
It did hit it.
It did hit
That
it.
was my mother-in-law, deceased. Yeah, it did hit the house.
You know, so, right on. It's good to know that you guys
We
are,
are working on it, yeah.
Cool.
She had been working on it, and then we found out the guy that we usually use, we don't know where I guess he left the state, you know. So, but we are working on it.
cool, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks, David.
Thanks, David.
thank you, David.
Number 10, Rusty left. He was going to talk about painting the tank, so we'll put that on next agenda. He had to leave. Well, now we took off the grease trap for Laredo's Bakery because that has already been done. Laredo's has complied with our wishes, and they have a brand-new grease trap. And I went with Mr. Gilles, Richard Gilles, to look at it, and it's perfect, exactly what we wanted, so. Number 11, Trish Allen, individual, asking to change the village ordinance regarding the signage regarding business signs to be placed closer to the street.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, how are you?
I have Cutting Up Tule, and I have signage issues at that location. I don't know if any of you have ever noticed that it's hard to find my shop there. And it's just a unique property because there's a lot of big trees that nobody wants to cut down for good reason. And they cover my sign that's on the wall of the building. And then I have to place signs so far away from the street that it winds up having to sit, because it's mostly parking lot. It has to sit under the tree, said tree again. And again, it doesn't get noticed. So I was hoping to be able to put a sign that is closer to the street, and I would like to make it taller, but I don't think you have any issues with that.
So where's this at exactly?
501 Central Avenue.
Between Turner's and CNC.
Yeah, that's Nancon's place, right? Yeah, because I didn't even know you were there. So
I hear that all the time.
I admit that I did not even know you were there.
Yeah, and I've looked around at different businesses. Laughing Leaf has a sign that's closer to the street. And then the new Sawmill also has two signs that are closer to the
Sawmills,
street.
unfortunately, that's not our, that's in the,
Is that outside the village limits? I wasn't sure.
it's in the county. I think Laughing Leaf took over Wells Fargo's sign, didn't they? But it's within our ordinances, is it not?
It's ordinance.
Um,
What about that tree? Is that Chinese home there, the big Chinese home? It blocks the wall, right?
Well, the pine tree is the biggest tree, and then there's one that's close to the building that it's a palm. Yes,
a palm tree or
I believe that's a palm tree. Yeah,
we were thinking it was a Chinese elm.
maybe it is. I don't know my trees that well.
Too. I mean, she could put a sign, but she's still gonna have to abide by what the signage is for what we have here, you know,
I'm gonna refer that to Jeff.
yeah. Jeff, what's the ordinance for our signs here? I mean, I understand what she's saying, but if she complies to that, she has to comply to our ordinance no matter
Yes.
what, okay?
Changing the ordinance is
Yeah.
an option. If this is a problem that arises for other people also.
But we have to change the ordinance first
Yes.
before it can be, you comply to it, you know? So if you want to put a sign up now, you have to abide by ordinances. And I'm not going to say that we're going to jump on it and change it tomorrow because there's a lot to do. We have a lot to do. I mean, we will bring it up and we'll, you know, I'm sure, you know, I'm not sure, but I said, you know, the board will make the decision. But, you know, unfortunately, right now, you have to abide by our ordinances because we can't change them.
I understand. Yeah, it's just that to place it back that far from the street, it winds up, like I said, because all of its parking lot, it has to go under that tree, and I can't make one very big. I don't know. I guess I could figure out a way to light it or something, but it's very difficult to be seen. And then what you said, that you weren't even aware it was there, I hear that all the time
I'm sure you do.
from locals.
I'm sure you do.
People who are traveling through or whatever, they find me on Google and they find it. But locals don't.
Which, what about Lance's trucks are in the front that are for sale?
Well, let's talk to Lance. I tried to talk to him about that when he was bringing them in the other day. I was very much against that. It doesn't help.
Yeah, that would hinder any kind of
Absolutely.
signage you would want to do.
I mean, that's another hurdle that I'm up against, but he owns the building, so.
So tell us what kind of sign you're looking to put up,
Well, I don't have a specific plan in mind. I just think that I need something that sits higher because he does park his vehicles for sale out there from time to time. Something higher so that people traveling down the road can see it and closer to the street. Like close to the sidewalk I'd like to get.
no lit sign, right? Just like a placard?
I wasn't thinking I don't need a lit sign if it can just be closer and more visible. You know what I mean?
You know,
Because, Jeff.
go ahead, Jeff.
Just a bit of perspective, there probably was a reason or is a reason the sign ordinance reads the way it does. It prevents obstruction for traffic, who knows, but there's got to be a reason for it. So if you're going to change it, you better sit down and look at it from the standpoint, what is it about this particular part of the sign regulation? If we change it, what does that produce in terms of other site problems? So,
I agree, and
it may have been an arbitrary thing, or it may have been copied from some other city, who knows, but.
And there's also, we have to stay within what the county requires. I mean, I don't know what their sign ordinance, but
This issue with Alamar's with that lit sign being so close to the highway, and they eventually moved that away. So I remember when Tom was on the board, we had this issue with the signage. And if we're gonna have to change that, we have to revisit it and really understand that if we make these changes, then it's gonna impact the entire village, not just this one location.
one of the things, I'm just gonna get a suggestion for you. Have you ever thought about the pie-shaped signs that you set on the ground and they're actually lighted?
A-frame.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
A-frame, and they're lit?
I have, yeah. That is an option. I can do that. With Lance's trucks sitting where they are, it's going to have to go on the sidewalk. I don't know how well that's going to work.
Close to the sidewalk?
Yeah, his trucks are right there at the sidewalk.
Yes. Are they? That's one of the options, and I'm saying that because I have a business in Alamogordo, and I had to do the same thing. I had to put that sign out there because or else put it back against the building, and then nobody sees. I'm like you, I sit so far back, nobody sees my sign, so that's what I invested in, and it kind of works really well for me, but
The little A-frame? Okay. I'll look into that, and that's affordable. So, yeah, I just was hoping to maybe, I don't know, get an actual sign out there. Thank you.
Or you could put a billboard on yourself. No, really,
And stand out in the, yeah.
Get a magnet sign and put it on the trucks he has out there.
Now, there's an idea. Yeah, I know. Put it right there on those trucks.
So we're not doing anything with it. Okay, number 12, Ori Moya. Select Row Cypress Cedar Renewables is asking for a special use permit to develop a community solar project. How are you this evening?
Tired. I don't know about y'all, but I'm tired.
Me too.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to my presentation. Thank you. Thank you, Tim. Good evening. My name is Lori Moy, and I'm with Select Row, and I'm representing our client is Cypress Creek Renewables, LLC. I'm here to present for your consideration a community solar project. And again, I want to thank you for the opportunity to present this community solar project to you. Next slide, please. The change is that I am asking for permission to receive a special use permit to construct a solar generation facility. Next slide, please. The purpose of the project is to have a community solar, and it was this Community Solar Act, Senate Bill 84, that allows for the village of Tularosa to have a small scale community solar 5 megawatt projects for its citizens. I believe you're aware of Senate Bill 84?
Yes.
Yeah, great. And you know that we are now in the second round of applications to be awarded in January of 2025. And you know that it states that 30% of the electricity must be reserved for low-income customers and low-income service organizations, and the energy will be added to existing local grid distribution that's used to power homes and businesses and other electric needs of the community. Next slide, please. This is the site location. The north road is Tule Gate Road, the east is Railroad Avenue, the west is Sioux Trail, and the south is agricultural land. It's approximately 47 acres, and 38 will be utilized for the solar facility. Next slide, please. This is a site plan layout of the solar panels. The site will utilize 11,664 panels and will generate 5 megawatts of solar energy, which will be fed into the local grid using existing local electric lines. And there's an electric line just on Tule Gate Road that they will be hooking into. Next slide, please. It's a 5 megawatt solar facility. The station is operated remotely. There'll be no permanent employees on site. There will be an 8-foot security chain fence with a possible 1 foot of 3-strand barbed wire around the solar array and components. Access will be controlled. The best mechanism is for cleaning the panels is rain. However, if it doesn't rain enough and the panels degrade and we're not getting good energy, we'll bring in an organic light cleaning compounds will be brought in if necessary to clean the panels. Again, the station is operated remotely, a locked access gate to the property. The property will be fenced for safety reasons to protect both the public and the electric equipment. There will be limited traffic to the site after construction, and the cost of this project is estimated to be approximately $9 million. Next slide, please. This is the tracking solars that we'll be using. Now, obviously, the sun doesn't move quite that fast, so it doesn't rotate like that. It's a post and rack tracker, moves with the sun. And when the panels they go flat at night and when they're not producing energy. So when I was driving down here, I noticed that a lot of panels were flat because of the clouds today. So they go flat when they're not producing. Next slide, please. This is a cartoon, if you will, of the solar trackers. You see that when they're fully extended, they're at 6 feet, 8 inches tall, nice sized basketball player. They go down within 2 feet of the ground. The post is driven directly into the ground, and the racks are attached to the post, and the panels are attached to the racks. And that's the range of motion, about 90 degrees. Next slide, please. So what are the benefits? Adding renewable energy to the New Mexico local distribution grid for the benefit of local citizens, increasing renewable energy opportunities in New Mexico, creation of temporary construction jobs for the area, and of course, adding renewable energy to your local grid is an exciting opportunity for those who want solar but can't afford to have it, but can't afford to have a subscription to have it reduce their local electric bill. The project will be paying ad valorem taxes, and there will be 20 temporary jobs. Next slide, please. With that, I will stand for questions, and I know that you've already had other projects come in, so you're experts now, right?
We've already approved the projects.
We already have that guy from the small.
Yeah, and he's having, what, 3 here? 3 here, yeah. You guys have any questions?
So who's gonna maintain it?
Cypress Creek Renewables will contract with a local community business that either does this already or is trained, and they'll have them come in and check on it periodically, once a month, but they monitor it 24/7, 365. So they're very aware of what's happening in the field, and if something is up, they have a way to send someone to go see what's going on.
So are you guys be working in conjunction with P&M? They kind of,
Yes.
okay.
We've had to apply to P&M in order to get permission to hook into their grid. It's their grid. And so the company has put an application in to make sure they can get into the grid. If the lines need to be upgraded, the company will pay to have the lines upgraded.
Well, I can't influence the board. They're on their own, but a personal feeling is we already have one company come in. We got to see how it works with the one company. I mean, there's so many companies out here, we could be just jumping around. I just, we've already talked about this with one company. And
Right, you have.
I'd like to see how it would work for one, but I can't. I'm just saying that for my personal.
I'd like to make a suggestion to you. These are all the company that you heard from and the company I'm representing today. They all are applying to the PRC for that process. Not everybody gets selected. I have another client and they had 7 projects selected. I have another client that put in 15 applications around the state and did not get selected. I would tell you, throw as much spaghetti against the wall as you can and hope that one of the projects gets approved. Because you can't say, oh, we want to wait. I mean, of course you can say that. But this company may be the one that gets selected as opposed to that company. And I think Tularosa deserves to have a community solar project in its midst for the community to use. Just because you've approved it doesn't mean that the PRC will approve it. And I can tell you that there were 40 companies in the first, no, there were 470 companies, projects, and only 40 were selected. So this is my second round of doing this around the state, and I just want to encourage you to look at the opportunities for Tularosa, and of course, it's always your decision.
It's not in our village limits, is it? This site,
It's what?
not in our village limits?
It's not.
So we wouldn't get any like gross receipts tax or anything valuable to us, right?
No. It's not in our village limits, correct?
I'm sorry,
This is not in our village limits, correct?
not a,
In our village limits.
no, it's in the extraterritorial zone, but you have to approve it. It's in Otero County because it's your ETA or ETZ.
It's up to you guys.
It still puzzles me, and I still can't comprehend. It's a $9 million project. Who pays for this project? And then how much of a asset or how much of a discount would it help our village people that use the grid?
Okay, if you're a customer of PNM and you subscribe to this discount, if you will, this solar discount comes off of your PNM bill. It's just like putting solar on your roof or on the ground next to your house. It's exactly like that, except that you haven't put the upfront money to put the solar on your roof or the solar on your ground. This company pays for it. And then through the deals that they make with PNM, they recover their money as they sell subscriptions to customers.
What percentage? I think that's what he's asking, like, is there a percentage, like 27% for the lower income? You're gonna take
30% for the low income. Some of my clients are going as high as 70 and 80% for the low income customers up in northern Albuquerque and Valencia County. I'm sorry, does that answer your question, sir?
Yeah.
You guys have any more questions?
I don't know.
Saying no now, that means that she can never come back and do this.
So, I don't know.
Laura, when will this all be decided?
January, it's supposed to be January or February, but what I discovered in the first round, that the PRC and their decision-making people move very slowly. And they say January and it ends up being April. You know. But you can't build unless you're selected by this process.
I personally think it'd be a good asset to Tularosa as far as helping our residents with electricity and stuff like that. And you know, inherently, it's the future is here, and I believe that it would be a good benefit for Tularosa to get the tax revenue off of the sales of the electricity and such. So
Won't. It's outside of our extraterritorial. We won't get any.
You don't get any, since you have approval process, you don't get any proceeds? Well, if it goes, never mind.
Yeah. Because it's in our extraterritorial.
well, being in the extraterritorial, I would motion to approve this project so that the county would probably take over. And being it's not in the city limits, I would motion to approve this.
We're not under contract with another country, the other company?
Where?
And so we can contact with as many companies as we want on this, or what?
I don't know.
I hate to say yes. Not know what the,
So it doesn't mean it's even gonna happen, then.
doesn't mean that at all.
Yeah. I mean, you can approve it, doesn't mean it's even gonna happen unless they get approved. Right? I mean, we could take a chance.
Well, I need to I need to really visit with our attorney on this before we get ourselves too involved in this thing.
I'm sorry,
I need to visit with our attorney. So, and this board probably needs to visit with our attorney instead of making a snap decision today on this, because we've already contracted with another company to do the same thing. And I'm just curious as to what the ramifications could be if we join in a contract with Cypress
Contracted.
Creek Renewables for something like this, when we've already
Yeah.
entered into an agreement with another company.
You're saying there is a contract now with another entity?
No.
Just an approval.
Just an approval.
Approved.
As I understand this gentlelady's presentation, approving it doesn't bind you to it.
It does not
It
bind
has
it
to be
us.
approved by the public PRC.
PRC.
So, the
So
only
the-
reason not to do it, it seems to me, is that if that prevents the other one that you've approved, which I understand does have some of the panels in the village limits, is that
Correct.
my recollection?
They do.
By approving this one, you may take away the opportunity for the other one to be there. So which one is to your economic advantage is dependent upon what revenues are going to be derived tax-wise or otherwise. And apparently the other one has,
Is it not two properties in the village? Two properties in the village.
I liked your spaghetti
I did too.
analogy, but if that's accurate, if
Yeah.
the village stands to win equally as opposed, if either or both programs are approved, is that possible?
Say again, if both are approved?
Yeah.
Yeah, both can be approved. I have one client that has Valencia County that had 3 approved, and 2 were really close to each other, which baffled me because I thought they wanted to spread them out around the state, but who am I to speak for the PRC? So that's why I use the spaghetti analogy.
And what it comes down to is if you have more of an economic advantage, if the other program is selected, putting somebody in competition with them may not be to your best interest. That's, a simple numbers game as far as I can see.
And like we said, there's 2 properties that are in Tularosa.
Yeah, we're not contractually bound.
Like, we're
with
not, we're
either
just,
one.
just a permit approval, yes.
Mark made a motion.
Yes.
Motion by Mark.
Mark already did.
If Tularosa is looking for reasons to approve this, I can tell you that Cypress Creek Renewables is very community-oriented, and they will come into this community, and I didn't have it in my presentation, and hindsight's always 40/40. They'll come in and they will work with community organizations, they will work with high schools, they will work with the elementary schools. They actually provided 4 scholarships for high school students to go on to further education. They will work to have kids learn about renewable energy. I mean, they're very community-oriented, and you all are their community here, because since their facility's right next door, they don't care if it's in your city limits or not, but they are very community-oriented, and that is a benefit. That would be a benefit to your community. I'm sure the other people said the same thing.
I kind of think what's holding us back is that the other company is inside, and we're gonna get gross receipt tax. And
Sure.
being such a small community, every penny counts.
Yes, I understand
Every
completely.
So that makes them more attractive to us because every penny counts for us.
Right.
It's up to you guys. So we got one motion. Any more motions?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and second it. So
What?
I'll second it.
You'll second it?
We have a motion and a second. No,
Yeah.
didn't he just say?
Yeah,
he
he
said-
seconded it, yeah.
Okay, so.
All those favors, say aye.
Aye.
Pat?
Nay?
Nay. Robert?
Nay.
I'm the tiebreaker. That's a nay.
Yes, well, thank you again for the opportunity, and I will pass this on to my client. And next time, if we come back here again, I don't know that we will, I'll try to make sure that they work more closely with you if they're not inside. the
Okay,
community.
thank you very
so
much for your presentation. Thank
I
you, we appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Number 13, Ali Kazem, individuals asking to revoke his monthly minimum water charge for the ordinance or grant a waiver.
Yeah, thank you guys for giving me this time. So as I was reviewing my water bill, I noticed, I was inquiring as to why my monthly water bill at my mobile home park was $500 plus tax every month. And after speaking with, I think I spoke to Rebecca, but I could have spoken with somebody else. Right now, there's a monthly minimum charge for specifically for mobile home parks that's $500 a month for 100,000 gallons of water used. Currently, right now, we have 2 tenants in our park who use less than 10,000 gallons of water a month, but we're being charged $500 a month to be able to use 10 times the amount of water that we're actually using. That $500 a month bill is, it's just crushing my financial situation right now. Given that we're trying to make improvements to the park, that money could very well be used elsewhere in terms of landscaping or anywhere else. Also, Alamogordo had a similar policy. They were charging $89 a month minimum per meter, but at the last Alamogordo City Council meeting, they voted to repeal that. And so now they're no longer charging a monthly base rate. They're going to just usage. And so it would be nice to either go to paying for my actual usage or, yeah, that would be my proposal, is to be paying for actual usage.
The problem is we have the ordinance, we'd have to change the ordinance. And I'm not saying that we might think about that later on, but, I mean, right now, there's just an ordinance. There's other trailer parks here that have 2 or 3 or something like that, and they're still paying the same thing. And it's an and I know it's a financial difficulty. I'm not
Sure.
against you, okay?
Yeah, I don't know any of the
understand.
I don't know any of the other mobile home park owners, and I don't even know any of the other parks in town, so I don't even know who to talk to
There's one
about.
here. There's one here. They have small trailers, but yes, there is one here.
Yeah, I mean,
And-
I'm sure they're probably not using close to 100,000 gallons either.
But that will be for the board to decide whether they want to change that ordinance or not, you know?
Sure.
I think our hands are tied as far as, you know, because our ordinance is there. I don't know if Alamogordo had an ordinance or not, but, you know, we can't just say, oh, we want to change this ordinance or we want to repeal it or whatever. We can't. We have to change the ordinance itself.
Right.
So, I mean, we'll take in consideration, you know, if they want to work on it and they want to change it, we can. The board can make that decision, but it won't be made at this point. You could maybe, I mean, you guys pitch in and tell me what you think.
I was thinking we need to revisit it because of
We do.
the situation.
Yeah, we do need to revisit it. I'm not saying we don't.
Sure.
And we do need to revisit it, and we can, you know, revisit it. We've got several ordinances that we need to revisit, Ali. And as soon as we can, we will.
Okay. I was gonna say, I saw that there was a request for a special meeting. Is there any way to add this to
First time I've been
the,
on this board when we've had a trailer park that's no longer trailer park, and they've got that $500 water bill, so.
I
it's something
understand.
there.
I mean,
Is there any way to add this to that
especially-
discussion?
Special.
Well, we've
I
got.
thought it was on the agenda, maybe it's not.
we could-
Did I see this?
I mean, you could ask for a special meeting, not.
Special
Oh,
meeting
no,
happening.
never mind, sorry,
No, it's not
for some
gonna
reason I thought there was a special meeting.
Yeah, we gotta work on the ordinance, you know.
Change the
Work on
ordinance.
the ordinance, you know, and we'll try to get to it as quick as we can, but there's several other things we have to work on too. But I'm not saying we're throwing away and saying we're never gonna do it. I'm just saying it might take a little bit of time, Ollie. Okay,
So what would that process, because obviously it's not.
well, we have to pass the ordinance, then it goes to, Rebecca has to publish it, it goes to Jeff, right?
The starting point is to take the current ordinance
Right.
and handwrite what changes that you want to make in it and look at it from an overall standpoint as to whether it's fair to all the customers.
Right.
That's
Yeah,
simple.
but how long are you gonna have just 2 customers? Because I know you're trying to rebuild and then you're gonna have as many customers as, residential people as you used to have.
I mean, if I have 10 homes in there by the end of this year, I would be pretty happy. I mean, I would imagine we'll probably sell 1 or 2 a month for the next, like I'm sorry. I was telling Debbie, I just applied for my mobile home dealer license. So I don't know if it'll take probably 30 days for that to be approved by the state. Then I have to be approved by the actual manufacturers to be a licensed retailer. And then from the time I make my first sale to the time a home gets placed on the land, it's another 30 to 45 days for the manufacturer to build the first home. So, I mean, we could be looking at 3 months before a new home even gets put on the lot. Even if it's sold, like even if I sold 10 homes, it would probably be 3 to 6 months before all 10 of those homes even arrive on site. So, I mean, it could be a while before I get anywhere close to 100,000 gallons. And then even once we get to 100,000 gallons, I would be paying, if I'm paying usage, I'm paying for the 100,000 gallons I'm using. So I guess my thing is, I don't know if it makes sense to have a minimum, just given that, like you're paying for most things you don't pay for a minimum, you pay for.
So, being a commercial property, it has to be under our ordinance is under one water bill, right? And you're gonna sell those trailers, right? I mean,
Correct,
you're
yeah.
not going to rent them out, so.
Correct.
Okay,
All the water bill will still be under one central account. It'll still be under Tularosa Mobile Villas.
okay.
Well, everybody in the village pays a minimum amount regardless of what water
Right, whether
usage
we
they
use
use.
or
So
not, we pay a minimum,
that's like everybody.
But they're not paying $500 a month.
yeah,
That's
but,
kind of like going with your business. That comes with the territory of that. Because you could have 50 trailers or 2 trailers.
I mean, I even talked to Rebecca about this, and I don't know if it would work or not, but, you're selling the trailers, the trailer belongs to them, wouldn't it be easier to put a water meter in for each?
That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna sub-meter them. The problem is if we put in 40 meters from the village side, then that becomes a bigger issue than putting a meter that can be read and then sub-billed. So if you send us $1,000 water bill, we can say, okay, every tenant, like you used X number of gallons last month, here's the village water rate times how many gallons you used. It's a rough estimation. I mean, it's not a perfect, it doesn't account for sewer, but at least we could bill back for the number of gallons that flow into a house individually. So that's the plan is, the city would still have one meter that would just get one water bill and we would, obviously that way we make sure that we pay that water bill every month.
Well, until we, work on the ordinance, I don't think there's anything we could do, but I'm not saying that we won't try to get to it as quick as possible.
Okay, yeah, I just don't know. Like I said, I have no idea what that process looks like, to your point, so I don't know if I need to put myself back on the agenda in a month and check on that, or how does,
As I say, take a copy of the current ordinance and make the changes you would like them
Oh,
to
okay.
do and present it as an agenda item next meeting.
Yes.
Okay.
Then
that
they
sounds
can
good.
consider it, and if at that point in time, if they agree with you, then we would do the process to actually change the ordinance.
Okay, I can do that.
Yeah.
Sounds great. Thank you, guys.
Okay, thank you. So we already did number 14, and we did number 15. Number 16, Mark Garwood, trustee, is asking for the removal of the underbrush and salt cedar around the village waterworks area, the creek.
Yes, under the Salt Cedar Eradication Act, that I'm not sure how many years back it was written into law, but along the Bosque and Socorro and all along the Bosque from Santa Fe all the way down to Las Cruces, they begin to eradicate all the salt cedars because it's a non-indigenous invasive species, and it pulls up to 200 gallons a day per tree. So I know it's next to the creek and the roots have probably got under the creek and all around the creek. So in today's water conservation efforts to alleviate wasted water, I believe that it is very important we get those non-indigenous invasive species trees out of the creek area and to clear all the underbrush around there, just to save water for the village so that the creek will not be affected. Under dry conditions, we can see with the fires and everything going on in Ruidoso and everything like that, our water resource is very important in Tule. So I feel that we don't need to be watering non-indigenous species along the creek area, and most of the villages throughout New Mexico are eradicating those trees continually. So to conserve water and also doing that, not only to conserve water, it'll give our native species, the cottonwoods and the Fresnos and everything that grow around the creek, won't be competing with the non-indigenous species. So that's why I'm proposing that we remove all the underbrush and all the trees around the waterworks to alleviate usage of water that's for a non-invasive, for an invasive species.
Mark, how will we do this?
We have city workers that can do that, right?
No, that's way too much time and way too much money, but there are grants out there that you could look for to do that.
I'm just proposing it at this time, you know? And so another option would be too is, get a contractor or a grant and but I'm just putting this forward that eventually it needs to be done because we don't want to be watering trees that have no environmental benefit to our area. They're nasty trees. They put a lot of stuff under them and stuff like that, and it makes a fire hazard also.
I agree with what you're saying, Mark. I just think we need to, I think we need to seek financial assistance.
Right. I'm just,
grants
right.
and, yeah. So,
I'm with trustee Mark as well. I'm willing to work with him and we'll find grants. And some hire private contractor to start working the way up the creek.
I agree.
This is a proposal for me, so that's all, that's
I think it's
all.
great. That's just a really good idea.
We don't really need to make a motion on it, do we? I mean, or do you want to go ahead and make a motion that we look for grants or
Not need a motion. We're not actively doing anything right now.
do what?
We don't need a motion because we're not actively doing anything right now.
Okay,
You guys could look into the process and once
Yeah.
something actually,
that's what I thought. We didn't really need a motion for that. Okay. Yeah, I'm with you, Mark. I think we as a village need to be proactive and look for something that could help us pay for that, because this is gonna be a big project. It's not something that the city workers could probably
Right,
take on.
I understand that.
Yeah, so I think that, looking for a grant, I think, like he said, he would help you, I'll help, we'll all work on that. But I think it's a perfect, wonderful idea.
Yeah, and just let it be known that this is the second time that this is brought up, so we really need to just not say we're gonna try to fix it, we need to fix it.
Agreed. Okay, number 17, Greg Gutierrez and Courtney.
we're gonna omit that one because
Okay.
we're gonna give an update next month.
You're gonna what?
They're gonna give an update next month.
Next month? Okay.
Yes.
Eliminate that one. Okay, number 18, Adolph Foster's individuals asking for approval for the use of the Little League baseball field for the Tularosa Basin Downwinders to hold their annual candlelight vigil it's at the Little League field, right?
Yeah, the Little League field out there, northwest of Thule.
Okay.
We've been doing it there for probably about 15 years. Last year, we did it in Las Cruces because they had an art exhibition. They had, I don't know, 20, 30 artists put up portraits and stuff concerning the downwinders. And we're bringing it back to Thule this year if you guys approve it. And we'd like to use it on the 20th of July in the evening. And we'd also like a little support with some sand because we do sell Illuminatius. Last year, we did over 800 names, and most of them are from this Otero County area. So I'm asking that you guys look at that and see what you can do.
The only thing that they were talking about, and this just come from somebody that called me about it, and they said that, they've done a lot of work to the baseball field, and they'd like for you guys to be very, very careful using it, that's the only concern. I
Well,
mean,
driving on the sprinkler heads, yeah, we gotta be careful with that, but yeah, that can be done, that can be taken care of,
Yeah.
as long as we're careful with it.
We put all Illuminatius, I don't know if you guys have been out there to see it,
I have.
but we have the Powell family that lights all the Illuminatius, and once it's over with, they help extinguish them, and we can even help pick them up the next day if it's approved.
Well, I've gone to that event pretty regular here the last several years. And to my knowledge, there has never been any damage to the
No,
fields
there
at
hasn't
all.
been.
Everything has
Not
been
much.
kept on up and up, and it is a very solemn occasion, and unfortunately, it's it's one that needs to be recognized because of the downwinders and
I know that we're all in probably agreement to that. I just had to mention that because I know that they put a lot of money into it this year,
Understand?
so.
Yeah,
Well, with that being said, I'd like to make the motion to approve.
I'll second that motion.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you for your
Motion's
time.
approved.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Adolph.
Thanks for all you do with that, Adolph.
Is there any old business?
We're back to number 3.
Not about,
Oh,
you
yeah,
have to do the
I'm
executive
sorry, I
session.
forgot you, Jeff, again. Number 18, we need to go into executive session. Could I get a motion for that?
Motion going to executive session.
second.
The
All those
reason
in
is
favor?
pending litigation.
Sign second.
Yeah, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Roll call though.
Oh, roll call, we have a roll call.
Roswellis,
Aye.
Garcia,
Aye.
Garwood,
Aye.
Signs.
Aye.
I don't need this.
Aye, 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 aye.
Yeah, if I put you down, I almost forgot that.
Meeting adjourned.
Ooh, that leg's hurt, you still.